Hey there, it's Heather with Salty Kisses. I'm here again for another week on my podcast. And just was thinking about some things to talk about. Um, and I guess today kind of focus on some questions. It's kind of what I'm thinking. We're gonna break down some of the powerful life coaching questions. I was having a talk with a friend, and one of my, kind of areas is um, that I want to help is moms, after we've grown up, or our kids are grown up, not we've grown up, we're already grown up, but our kids have grown up, and you're busy taking care of the household, raising the kids, doing all the things, and then the kids, you're an empty nester, and you totally lose who you are. And I think it's hard for a lot of moms because we're not used to, I guess, in a word, being selfish is kind of the term. I know with me, like, um, my world was my husband, my household, taking care of it. My dinners were always made. We did all the sports. Right? My kids were like top priority in life, along with my husband. Like that was what my world was. And now, my kids are in their 20s. Well, my daughter's almost 20 in a couple weeks, and my boys don't live with me. I barely see my daughter because she works and she has friends and has a boyfriend, and they get older and they don't need you like they did when they were little, and you're not doing the sports anymore, and they're done with school, and they're doing their, they're working, they're starting to learn adult responsibility things, and that's, like what we want them to do. But then you start to ask yourself, like, who am I? And at that stage, when my daughter was like 14, when my husband and I separated, and their dad and I separated, and so I still had a few years left with her. But I think I was about 42 at that time. And I guess women go through a midlife crisis. I don't know. I don't know if that's all true, but I do know that you kind of hit a certain age in life when you're just tired of what you put up with, or um, you start to realize, like, this isn't the life I want anymore, or this isn't, this life that I'm living isn't working, and nothing's changing, and how do I change it? And there's several things that led up to me getting divorced. I would have stayed married forever if I could have. I love marriage. I didn't want to date again. I didn't want to do all the stuff, but I also just couldn't stay in a marriage where I was doing all the work, and you know, um, I lost myself in it. And he could do what he wanted, and there was issues that didn't get fixed, and um, so in that, I lost me, like. And then I got to this age now where I'm at, and my kids are all grown up, and it's like, what do you do with your life? And I kind of had to restart a career and everything. And so I think some of it is learning to be a little selfish for yourself, which I sometimes have a hard time with that because I don't want to be, I like to give. I like to give. I like to be a good mom. But in that, I think there can be like a fine line and a balance. I mean, everything is a balance, right? Um, we learned that at Entre Leadership. You have your wheel of life, and you're always trying to not have a flat tire, because one area you focus on, and then all of a sudden, the other side, maybe it's financial or spiritual or health or whatever, something starts to give away because you're focusing on the other area so strongly, and then you lose that. And I think as moms, we lose ourselves raising our kids in some ways. Not that I wouldn't have done, I would do it all over again if I could. I love my kids. They're my favorite people in the whole entire world. I love my relationship with them. I love that they're growing up and they're learning to be independent and they're doing their thing. I love it when we get to hang out and they want to hang out with me, and we get to do things together now as they're my adult children. Um, and I wouldn't have changed having kids. I mean, that was like what I wanted. I wanted to be a mom. But again, comes with the balance of life. Sometimes us moms, we do give so much that we get to that stage where they don't need us anymore. And then you're like, wait a second. Even if you have a career while you're raising them or whatever it is, My career, of course, was my ex-husband's business. So when I left, when we divorced, I lost that because he kept the business. And I kind of had to like refigure out what I wanted to do with my life. And so, this is where life coaching can come in really handy, when you have someone here to kind of like guide you and help you along, create some powerful questions. And so, I guess some of the questions you can ask yourself is, um, which I think a couple weeks ago I said, like if money wasn't any obstacle, you didn't really have to think about money, what would you do? And what does an ideal day to you look like? So, another question to focus on: if your life could be different, how do you think it would look if you achieved your biggest dream? And who inspires you and why? And then also, what are your top three values? So those are three questions you can think about. And especially as a mom, as your kids are older and you're figuring that out, like, okay, what do you value? And then we did this as one of the lessons in our life coaching class when I was becoming a life coach, and you had to like think about it and go through the worksheet, and then you picked your top three or top five values or whatever, and then we come up with a mission statement. We came up with a value or a vision statement, and we kind of include some of that with our values and our ideas that we came up of dreams that we had, maybe a dream that you had when you were younger. And just last week I was on that road trip with my friend, and we went to California and went to the redwood forest, and we're like climbing trees, getting in these huge trees to get pictures and stuff. And like, I don't know, it was just really fun, and I felt really free. And I was like, this is like we're being a kid again. We car camped in the back of my car. I kind of talked about that in podcast from the other day, but just being silly and just laughing. And I think sometimes we lose that because we're afraid as a mom, like, oh, you got to be on all the time. You got to make sure your brain's working for other people as you raise children. And then all of a sudden it's just you. And so you can feel a little bit lost and confused and like, oh, am I supposed to do this? Or this is selfish. And then people will tell you you're selfish. I think that sometimes when you like, especially on social media or whatever, and you share things, you can be looked at like, oh, that mom's living it up. What is she doing with her life? And I think we all do it in some ways, but um, a lot of times we don't know what that person went through. We don't know why, you know, they're doing that. And so I've learned over the past few years to be a little more open minded of things people have gone through. People don't talk about stuff, and sometimes they're afraid to talk about it. They don't have a safe spot. And that is another thing. Like, life coaching is great for that because you have a one on one personal relationship. There's also time where you can do like a women's group where you have like 3 to 4 people. You all kind of come together and you talk about things that you're struggling with. I think it's an excellent way to help, especially as women, because I think, even with men don't always like to talk about stuff. And so as a woman, we need that. And so we have a support system with actually loving, caring, supportive women that can listen to the emotions. They understand it. They're a mom, they've been through it, or, they're a career woman with being a mom, or maybe they've had a rough marriage, or maybe they're going through a divorce. And so these groups are really awesome. And also the one on one life coaching sessions to just get out there and like figure out, what are my dreams? If I could achieve my dream, how would my life look different? And who inspires me, and why do I want to be that? And what are my values in my life? And figure out your mission, figure out your vision statement. And that's with, if you're going to run a business or even just your life, like, how do you want to live my life? How do you want to live your life? And I've had to figure out the last few years like that. Like, I wanted a freedom life, like I was talking about on my podcast the other day. Like, I had to figure that out. Like, I didn't want to live with debt so that I could go and do more traveling. And if a friend asked me to go do something like a road trip or whatever, and I can say yes more often than no. I used to have to say no a lot. And now I get to say yes a lot more to things that I actually want to do, the things that I love. The first year I moved to Washington, and my daughter came down to be with me. Like the goal was like, we need to say yes to as many fun things as we can possibly do. And then, of course, now I run a real estate business and stuff. And so I have to not be able to do as much because I do have to have some listings and show buyers houses and stuff. But I still have that flexibility. I still set my life up. Um, and it's not perfect. Nothing's ever perfect. But those are just some things where you ask yourself those questions. Help your brain open up, think about it, and just realize like being a mom, you're not being selfish. If you want to take care of yourself, you are allowed to. You are allowed to love yourself. God made you a beautiful human being with your own desires, your own, dreams, your own thoughts, your own values. And yes, we're made to care and love and cherish and, you know, be the emotional support of our family and our husbands and our kids and all that. But when we lose ourselves in that, God loved women. Like he used so many women in the Bible. Like we learned so many things in our coaching, like the the women that God used to do these big things. And we're kind of sometimes I feel like put in this box. And um I just want to help you empower yourself so you don't feel that way. Like if you want to go and take care of yourself or go for a walk without the kids, if you still have kids at home, or if the kids are grown and you're like, I want to take that vacation that I have never done or I've dreamed about, or I want to start that business that I've wanted to do. It doesn't hurt to try, and it's okay to try. And if it doesn't work out, then you just move on to the next. And I don't think we're ever too old to follow a dream or to do something that we really want to do. I think that's what life is about too. It's figuring it out. It's loving each day, day by day, realizing it's a gift. And sometimes we just have to take other people's opinions. And sometimes our opinions are only because maybe they're negative because they didn't choose to follow a dream. And so they try to downplay it or make you like, why would you want to do that? Or that's a stupid idea. And you have to kind of like push that aside and get with people that build you up. And I'd love to be that support for you. Like if you are looking for someone, or if you would love me to direct you to someone, if you need trauma and grief coaching, any of that, I am here and I would love to help. So please check out my um, YouTube, my Instagram, everything. All the links are posted below. You can check out Stronger Co. for trauma and grief coaching. Again, her is all nonprofit. Great, great organization. I am a life coach, a trauma coach through that. And then I also run my own life coaching business through Beautifully Revived. If you want more further, um, getting empowered, breakthrough, running a business, whatever, I am here to help you open your mind up, ask good questions, and also just have someone to vent to, or whatever you need. So thank you for listening. I hope you all have a great week. I'm sitting here staring at the river. It's my favorite place to come and do my podcast at because it opens up my brain. And they say the ocean is really calming, or it's not the ocean, it's actually the river, but where I'm at is the river. But there's a little beach and there's walking trails and it's sunny today. And it's a peaceful area and I can think. And so that's another thing. Like if you have a place that you love to go to and you're trying to be creative and maybe write a book or a song or poetry or whatever, find your special spot that you love to go to, because that's something that's really helped me with getting out and getting my brain to like move. Sometimes when I'm sitting at home or even a coffee shop, I just kind of feel like, I need to get out into the fresh air. So anyways, everybody have a great week and I will be around next week.